Calgary-Hays.
Thank you. Let's try again, Mr. Speaker. Our party has rightly denounced violent rhetoric directed towards the Premier.
That's right.
While we strongly can disagree on issues, there's no need or place for such language.
Agreed.
Which is why I was also disturbed to hear the words from this weekend, and the NDP's propaganda arm. At the Alberta Federation of Labour's convention, Alberta Executive Director Duncan Kitty stated, and I quote, "You may be wondering who Progress Alberta is. We're the organization that kicks Conservatives in the teeth." To the Premier, do you stand by these comments from your surrogates at Progress Alberta, or will you denounce them?
Good question.
Do you stand by Ezra Laban?
Honourable Minister. The Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Certainly, I'm glad to hear that the member plans on denouncing comments around violence against any individual. Certainly, it would be useful if that was done in a timely fashion, Mr. Speaker. And with regard to this, I would be happy to look into further details, but certainly we don't condone violence towards anyone, Mr. Speaker, and that doesn't reflect language that this side of the House chose to use, Mr. Speaker, and we wouldn't condone language being used towards any individual, Mr. Speaker.
Well, that's good, Mr. Speaker. I'm glad that the Deputy Premier doesn't condone it, because he is connected to the NDP. Appearing on a carbon tax discussion panel on CTV's Alberta Primetime last December, host Shauna Randolph gave us a glimpse into Progress Alberta's links to the NDP, and I quote, "We did ask for a few cabinet ministers in the provincial government to join us, and we were told that actually nobody from the government was available, and the province referred us to Duncan Kinney with Progress Alberta." Hardly independent, Mr. Speaker.
Whoops.
To the Premier or Deputy Premier, will you denounce Mr. Kinney in Progress Alberta, or will you be
Thank you,
kicking?
Honourable Member. Thank you. Honourable Member. The Deputy Premier.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. This side of the House has certainly been referred to in ways that were demeaning, disrespectful, and had death threats, Mr. Speaker, and we don't condone that to anyone on this side of the House or anyone in this House, Mr. Speaker. It's important that we treat each other with respect and dignity, and no matter what question the member opposite asks, I will continue to treat him with respect and dignity.
Second supplemental.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. There's something that the Deputy Premier and our party can agree on. There's no place for this. And we know of Mr. Kinney's comments because the Alberta Federation of Labour found them so acceptable. It was the AFL that live tweeted them on Saturday afternoon. And the NDP cannot claim they have no links to the AFL because the AFL has specific representation enshrined in the NDP's constitution. So to the Deputy Premier, will you live up to your words, condemn these remarks, and condemn the person that said it?
Deputy Premier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Certainly after the week that we've all spent in our constituencies, I hope working to find out ways that we can continue to support our constituents and make their lives better, Mr. Speaker. I've made it very clear in my first two responses that I do not support those remarks or condone them, Mr. Speaker, and I'm going to say that we're going to continue to focus on making lives better for Alberta families. That's one of the reasons why I was so proud to talk to constituents and residents from Alberta across the province about the work we're doing to cut school fees, the work we're doing to support health care and education, the work we're doing around making sure that 20,000 more Alberta workers have jobs this month than did last month, Mr. Speaker. There's lots of good work happening. I wish members opposite would keep focused on the things that matter to Alberta.
Honourable Member.